fear, some swearing, some cursing, but we finally got this to finally work out. Ladies
Mostly
and
the
gentlemen,
swearing.
This wearing totally fucking helped.
yeah, totally. No, it absolutely did. Like Paul, if I got your name right there, buddy, he was the awesome intimidator. The phone caved, ladies and gentlemen. Right a moment Paul said, "You're gonna work fucking now." It just did. It just said, "No more, no mas."
Just gotta tell her what to do.
That's right. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Calgary metal band Syryn. How you guys doing today?
We're good. Good. You?
Yeah, I'm great. I got myself some freelance gigs. I'm feeling good, and I get to talk to a really cool metal band. What is not to love about that, right? So nice to meet you guys.
You as well?
So I guess I'm gonna start like this. I'm a little, how to put this. How long have you guys been a band, and how did you guys come together?
I think we're going on 6 or 7 years now. And we formed when I went to this metal festival in Calgary one year and saw Amanda Kiernan with Into Eternity perform. And I was just like, holy shit, like this is really cool. I got to do that. So, you know, a little bit after that, when my daughter was old enough to be self-sufficient and on her own while I had a jam, put an ad on Kijiji and found Byron here. And then I knew Brian and Paul through the scene because I do metal show promotion as well. And then Lix actually she attended our shows. We did have one turnover with our bassist. So she was attending our shows and we put up an ad and she came to audition and just absolutely fucking knocked it out of the park. And there's no question she was in.
That's right. That's cool. So were you guys all in like bands? Well, all in bands before at different points, or just right place, right time to really do something like this?
Well, for me, I was already in and out of bands in the metal scene, and she had put on a couple of shows for me as well. So I kind of knew Sloan on a professional level already, and then when they were looking for a bassist, then I was able to, that had already dissolved, and I was able to join Syryn at that point. Yeah, at least for me, I was in. Took me about a year to get this guy here.
I actually relocated to Calgary. I used to live in Lethbridge, and I've been in and out of a lot of bands, and even did like a Metallica tribute thing for a while. And that's how I met Sloan. Was playing shows with the Metallica tribute, and then when I moved to Calgary, she started kind of bugging me about it, and I was like, nah, I don't think so, you know. And then a year down the road, struggling trying to find another band, she messed our Facebook post one day. And then she sent me a sound clip, and I was like, oh, this chick is dang. So I was like hooked in. They brought me in for rehearsal. And yeah, that's how it went.
Yeah. And everybody else just kind of this is your first band for everybody else? Like this is your first serious attempt at a band?
No, I've been playing music for a while. I was actually in 2 other bands at the time that I joined this one, and Sloan had asked if I'd help drum and get the single out there because she figured it would be easier to get other musicians interested if there was actually something they could hear. And so I did the single, and then it turned into let's do the album. Then it turned into let's do some shows. And you know, by that point, it was like, you know, the third band, like, yeah.
Why not? Why not?
You have his wife to thank for that. She's like, you need to play for Syryn.
Yeah, she was 100% supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, this is my first band. Thankfully, when I found her, and the band has really picked up for what can be my first band. I can't say anything bad about it. So yeah,
No.
It's been awesome.
My first band as well. So yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So I know this from just interviewing other bands. Finding a good group of people to perform good music with might be the absolute hardest thing about a band. So, and based on the fact that you're in 3 bands, you're in the one using 3 bands, the one who's been in a whole bunch of bands. Like in comparison, I guess for you guys, how is this compared to other bands in terms of like the professional? It sounds like you guys are very professional. You guys are, but you also get along too. So you guys have really good balance of that.
Now we fucking hate each other. I'm just kidding.
No.
We're family now, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have nothing to compare that to, so I guess I'll direct that to you 3.
Yeah.
I think that's, for me, that I think is actually the most important piece. It's funny because I was actually having a talk with somebody last night about exactly that. Is when it comes to forming a band, I think the people in the band are more important than skill. Like you have to have musicianship, that's just a given. But I think it's a secondary thing
the most important thing is, do you enjoy spending time with these people, and are you having fun with this group? Like, do you like spending time with them? If not, then for me, that's like the biggest deal breaker right out of the gate.
Can you be locked in a vehicle for 11 hours together and still love each other after?
Actually, that's real love right there. Like you deal with everybody's crap and live within an 11-hour road trip. And if you still get like, I love you, then it's real. It's absolutely real, right? Yeah. Right. Besides, right, if there's no deal breakers. So you've been doing this for 7 years now. So you guys are so how? I guess I should guess. What are your goals as a band? Do you guys want to get bigger? Or is this still fun?
Yeah, I mean, we're still a micro band, pretty small in our own eyes. We're just in the growth phases. When we released our first album, Beyond the Depth, we had a ton of momentum going, and then we got smacked with COVID. So everything just kind of hit a downturn there. So we used COVID to write album Heads or Tails. So now we're just kind of starting to gain momentum again with the second album. And then, things that we didn't get to do because of COVID, we want to do now. So we would like to do some touring. We haven't really played much out west or east of where we are now. But the big pie in the sky goal, I would say, is to go and play Germany. We'd love to do that.
Yeah.
Jeremy's got like some of the best metal in the world. Like their festivals are just amazing, and I've interviewed some bands from over there too. It's amazing that the drive and passion is awesome. Like it's really, really awesome over there. So
we feel like we fit in really well with the music demographic.
Oh no, absolutely. It's totally like a great experience as a fan. I imagine like it's just also the fact that finding people that are into your kind of music and just doing it all the time, or at least doing it on a regular enough basis. Yeah, it's like when I write books for a living. It's like when I go to book conventions, comic conventions, and stuff like that. I meet my fellow creatives, right? So it's an awesome feeling. So obviously, I mean, so is there any bands over there you want to play with?
Not necessarily there. Like for myself, I would love to play with Battle Beast. They're not Germany. I believe that they're Sweden or Finland, I think. But that's definitely top on my list to play with the band.
That's cool. Right? How about the rest of you?
I don't know about specifically bands that are European. I'm not too much into the origins of bands, but if I could play on the same festival that Lamb of God is at, I would be very, very happy with that. I know they're American, but that would be big.
No. Hey, listen, everybody can have, again, similar interests, but hey, pie in the sky goals, you never know. One of the bands I interviewed ended up playing with Epica. I don't know if you guys are big into them, but I mean, yeah. So you never know, right? One thing can lead to another, and next thing you know, you're there, right? So
I mean, we're not limited to Germany. We'd love to play Germany. Yeah. We'd love to play the U.S. as well. We want to play wherever we can.
Yeah. So so this might sound like a different. Do you want this to be your full-time gigs, like your full-time job? Are you just happy where the band is now?
We're happy where the band is now. Some of us are not exactly young in age anymore, so we don't know how many years we've got left in us. So basically, I mean, we take it as far as we can with the time that we have, but we definitely want to keep it fun and not, have it as a chore or a task. If it becomes big, that's fantastic. We just kind of want to see where it goes and take it as far as we can.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So I gotta ask, just an aside, is anyone there a music teacher as a day job? Just curious.
Used to work at a music school.
I used to work at a music school, so I'm quite familiar with that.
Yeah. I've done a little bit of vocal coaching, but I'm not like certified or registered for that. So.
Nah,
I could teach guitar, but I don't do it anymore.
Not currently.
No, the reason I'm asking is this is just my opinion. Metal and jazz are the biggest music, like players are the biggest music bands. Usually, in my opinion, because metal explores, like I'm just from a again, I love European power metal. There's a lot of classical music in metal.
Mhm.
Like a lot of its roots are in classical, and so like I feel like some of the biggest fans are actual like people really into music, and so that's where I think it's just like, what if we can take like Mozart's Magical Flute and make it angry? That seems like that's a very it sounds funny, but it's true, right? I mean, there's definitely. I feel like metal bands and metal and people that play metal are maybe the biggest music bands. Yay or nay? What do you guys
You
think
know,
about
like
that?
myself, I did take music lessons growing up. I took piano and vocal lessons, and a lot of that was classical and Royal Conservatory type stuff. So, as an example, you know, when Nightwish came out with Phantom of the Opera, I was pumped. So that's kind of a perfect, you know, testament to what you're just talking about there. But yeah, I love, you know, merging genres and revamping certain things and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree with you on that for sure.
So where did this album come from? Heads or tails? Sounds like it felt very like it felt very like do or die when I was listening to some of the stuff on there. So I mean that's the other thing. It's like heads, this is gonna work. Tails, it doesn't, right? And it's just like that's when I first looked at the concept like, oh, this looks like more piratey stuff. It's like, okay, this sounds fun, right? And so that's why I heard right. That's why I first started when I heard this. So, but like obviously during the pandemic, you decided to create another album. How was that process during the pandemic? Like, were you guys still able to see each other? Was it all like Zoom calls and like how was it?
Well, for us, I think we kind of, at least where we live, the sort of pandemic closures are sort of back and forth. Like we were closed for a month, open for 2, closed back and forth. So we tried to use that time as much as possible to at least still get together and write, whether or not we were allowed to. We were just like, let's just
Listen,
at least get,
I don't judge.
yeah,
Trust me.
it was messy. The whole world got really messy with that. So we just did what we could with it, with the time that we had. And we made sure, like, we put in a goal that we're going to write and record and release an album by a certain date. And I'm glad, like, we actually got to do it and came out this year. So I think we were very productive during that time.
We were the Church of Syryn. Religious gatherings were allowed at the time, so we were the Church of Syryn in our
We're allowed to,
yeah.
congregate.
We were
I kind of like not going into too many details. I like the pandemic. I was in Windsor, Ontario when the pandemic was going on. The rules that were broken, I saw like quietly sometimes, or not so quietly sometimes. It's just like some of that stuff was silly. Let's just be honest. Like some of it, looking back, was just very, very silly. You understood some of it, but some of it, I am never going to forget as long as I live. I was in Windsor. I wasn't allowed to physically buy underwear and socks at a store for like 6 months. So I could order it, but I couldn't actually go to the store and buy it. So I mean, we had some crazy rules.
Wow.
Throughout.
What if you try it on? It doesn't fit. You can't fucking send it back.
Yeah, exactly. Some weird.
Hey, Amazon, fuck you.
Yeah, after a while, like I said, I'm not going to tell people what to do or what not to do. But if you decide to bend some rules so you could do some things, I'm not going to hold it against you. I understand some of that was a little strange, and we're all
proud
adults.
non-law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Music comes first.
Yeah.
I don't get caught. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Exactly. We don't have to worry about it anymore, so we're all good.
Yeah, we're all good. In another few years, I won't be incriminated anymore. But that's neither here nor there. So you guys were able to get together and at least a little bit, sing, jam, but okay. So when did you finish the album? If you don't mind my asking.
Oh God, when was it? Yeah, August, I think.
We released
Oh,
it.
it was
Yeah,
August
we
this
should
year.
have like finished it. Maybe. Oh, was it?
June or July.
Okay, maybe it was the end of June.
June.
Okay.
It was within a couple of months that we finished it and released it. We just kind of expedited it as quickly as we could because festival season was coming up, and we wanted it out for summer shows and whatnot.
Okay. So that forgoes my next question because what did you do in the downtimes, right? Because obviously there were moments you couldn't get together, right? And so, but it seems like you were still working on this album essentially the whole time. So,
Yeah, we pretty much were when we weren't able to physically write together. We were doing scratch tracks or recording and sending each other tracks and whatnot, or tracking for the recordings. Luckily, our studio is in his basement. Our producer Craig Carswell, his studio is in his home, so they were allowed to do one-on-ones at that point. So everyone here tracked on their own, and then I went in and tracked with him when we did that.
Gotcha. I gotcha. So it sounds like you just hit that right point where it's like, okay, it's done, we're free. So, do you have a tour coming up?
Nothing yet. We're trying to plan some stuff for 2023. We're just kind of in the works of figuring out where we're going to go, who we're going to play with, all that fun stuff. It's all new to us. As a promoter myself, I know that it's quite time consuming and you want to book well in advance so you can plan everything. So that's why we're trying to start now for either the spring or summer of 2023.
No, okay, I gotcha. So you released the album, you're doing press for it right now. It just feels weird because I would feel like you guys would be jonesing to actually play the stuff you've been working on for so long. So
We play local shows.
Yeah, we have been playing locally. It's just tough because we're about to go into the winter as well. So traveling in the winter can be treacherous depending where you go, especially, in the east, in the prairies, in Winnipeg, it gets to -40 over there. So safety above all else, right? We want to make sure that we're doing our touring when it's safe for us to do so. So we're going to, continue with the press on the album throughout the fall and the winter, where we've already started writing our next piece of music, be it an EP or an album. We haven't quite decided yet, but that's what we're going to take our time in the winter to do, is just write more, and then we're going to push the live shows for Heads or Tails in the new year.
No, that sounds like a good plan. So I guess this is your second album, first, and right, this is your second one. Pandemic obviously made some things different too, but in terms of your sound from the first album to the second album, what was the biggest difference?
I would say, at least for me, because I joined them after they'd already started, maybe a year after or two after the band was already formed. The second album has this exact lineup where we wrote each track from scratch. Whereas when I joined on the last album, a few of the songs are already written. So it didn't have maybe the exact same sound as it would have been if maybe I was there from the start. At least for Heads or Tails, I'm really proud that I was there from the beginning. So I think it sounds as most like us as we can. Not that the other album doesn't sound like us, but with this lineup, at least I think it shows all of our strengths and colors and all of that.
Yeah, I think we really pushed the envelope, bringing in our various influences, our individual influences, and just kind of tried to put as much variety in as we could. One comment that we had from somebody that I remember, that the reason they liked our music is because they didn't really know what was coming next. It was a bit unpredictable. So we really liked that. So I think we kind of pushed the envelope with that in this, as we got heavier and faster. And I think people might not have been expecting it. So it might have been a pleasant surprise when this came out.
So would I go so far to say then also maybe it's also maybe there's a little bit more of a comfort zone in what each of you brought to the table this time around versus last time? Would that be fair to say?
It's a lot more collaborative this time around. We all had our own parts that were coming into each song, whereas the first album didn't really do that.
We know all their strengths now too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because like any other collaboration, right? Sometimes the first time around, you're like, okay, what are we doing, right? Who does what well? Who does what? Like
we still don't know what we're doing.
Well, because it's like a band like in terms of creatively is a team, and like you just mentioned, like everybody brings certain strengths to the table. Everybody has them. Everybody has things they do exceptionally well. There are also things everybody loves to do in their songs and how they play it and how they play. And the first time you make an album, you don't know what those things are, but the second time you're like, oh, we know what we're doing now, or something to that effect. Whenever I create something, I don't pretend to know what I'm doing, but that's an aside, right? But you get more comfortable with your process, if nothing else. So was that the big difference, or do you know what what Syryn sounds like better, like what you guys wanted, that vision of what you want?
I think music and bands evolve over time, and so as mentioned, when we started the first album, it was already pre-written. Even when I joined, some of the songs were written, and then Paul and Wix joined, towards the latter end of it. So I think album 2 is really sort of that evolution of everybody working together. We learned the songs in album 1, played them together, but then, kind of evolved and wrote from scratch album 2, and it's influenced by all the members in the group now. So that's kind of like the natural progression with this current lineup. And I think, we're already starting to look at how it's going to evolve into the upcoming album and where we're going with that. So I think, when you get creative minds together and start collaborating, then it naturally evolves and morphs into something different. And so I think this album is the output of that.
Yeah.
You just keep getting better and better too.
Well, yeah, that's the hope, right? Like you hope that every project you create is better than your last one, or at least is different, or it still feels fun, right? So, all right, personal. Okay, what's your favorite songs on the album, personally?
Mine is To Play is Sink or Swim. It's just really fun. It's really fast and trashy. But at the same time, Heads or Tails, I think, is probably the best written song, like that I can look from an objective perspective. Heads or Tails is really encapsulating all of the stuff that I think that we are really good at and putting into a song. But it's not that it's not fun to play, but Sink or Swim and Heads or Tails is the time between those two.
I can agree with Sink or Swim.
Yeah.
It's the fastest song on the album.
Yeah.
And it's just such a fun song to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my favorite.
It's very complete too, that song. You need extension cord.
We're trying to plug in the phone. Secret's out. The phone is dying, and we're trying to.
There you go.
Also, the dog got it.
Gotta love technology as we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's always a wonderful thing. Hey, we had to reinforce the fear. That's what we had to do. We had to reinforce the fear.
It's trying to again.
Yes. But okay. So what's going on over there? Because
We're going to phone plug into some power, so we're avoiding time here. We're about to run out of battery life there, so we're good now.
Okay, we're good. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're having just all of a sudden we're talking and you disappear. It's like, well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. The van has disappeared. I drove them away.
It's just use my battery power. It's like, oh, fuck, the phone's gonna die. I was like, shit, gotta plug it in.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite song? What's your favorite songs on the album? Perform or what do you?
Yeah. Oh, Heads or Tails. 100%. That's my favorite. That's my baby. Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's cool. That's really cool.
I think that's probably the one that's going to appeal to most people. Like if there was sort of like, I would say like a radio version or a radio song off that album, it's probably that track.
See, I think that song belongs in a fucking Disney movie. I call it my Disney song.
It is.
It's your Disney. It's your Disney.
The amount of times we talked about Disney is just. Yeah, it's her Disney song.
It's her. So what Disney movie do you see it in? I'm actually curious now.
Little Mermaid, all the way.
That's what all your songs are.
Honestly, if any Disney property could actually I think totally do a heavy metal like revamp, it would totally be Little Mermaid. I honestly
I feel like
that.
Little Mermaid or Pirates of the Caribbean. Disney did that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I feel like they should pay Disney. Pay attention to us.
Yeah.
Okay? We got stuff for you.
Yeah, no. Just I'm just thinking about it. Like, I think Little Mermaid would be the boldest take, though. I think Pirates is just basically it's like a half step there anyway, right? Right. You just have to. I mean, you'd have to keep Johnny Depp. You'd have to keep like the little rock and strut he does, right? Right. You have to totally, you totally have to, right?
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, like it's already almost there. I mean, you got big giant horror monsters. You got kind of the end of the world stuff. I mean, like that feels very metal already, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the Little Mermaid would be like the ultimate like challenge. How can I metal this up, right? I mean, Drusilla is about the only thing there that's totally like 90% of the way to metal there. Everything else would have to be kind of revamped and rethought of a little bit.
Yeah. See, one of the things that people don't know is that I have a dream to start a metal Disney cover band, and none of them will entertain it with me. So, but it's gonna happen one day.
Well, in all fairness to them, in all fairness to them,
What?
no, see, I could actually see it in my head. Like seriously, I actually have. I'm suddenly hearing a whole new world in a death metal voice. I can actually hear it in a total death metal voice. I can, right? I'm not saying we should all. I don't know if every Disney franchise should go there though. I think where it would be best would be like something you wouldn't expect. Like the Jungle Book would be kind of fun, right? Or
Aladdin.
Snow White. Just go with Snow White because no one would expect that. No one would expect that.
So it's just like right?
No one would expect that, right? No one would expect that. I again. Then you're talking to a guy who actually made an Alice in Wonderland Greek mythology mashup story.
Awesome.
I made Alice Pandora. It works so very well. So yeah. No, yeah. So and the only difference is instead of falling down the rabbit hole, she opens Pandora's box and the Cheshire Cat's inside her head. It's kind of fun.
Oh, whoa. Where can we read that? Send us the link.
Yes.
It's on Amazon. I'll tell you what, when this is over, I'll send you the link to it. You can actually read it. The first one actually got nominated for an award. So, I mean, hey, I almost know what I'm doing. So
We can relate.
yeah. So you guys are Disney. So how about you guys? Like what? Like she's got a secret hidden Disney thing that's an inspiration there. How about you guys? Like what do you like? What stuff? We always bring our own likes into like what our likes, the stuff that we enjoy ourselves into our whatever art we bring, right? So I'm just curious, like what stuff that you enjoy do you feel we bring into your music?
Certainly not Disney. I'll say
Not just, yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, I have everything from like ZZ Top to like Testament to like Morbid Angel. I'm all over the map musically. So that's why I like a band that has a lot of variety in the music.
Yeah.
I really like about this.
something like Disney, I guess, for me, and maybe Liz is the same because I know she likes a lot of video games too. But a lot of like video game music is a lot is amazing. It's actually really good. So I take a lot of inspiration from that for my riffs sometimes.
Also a fucking prog master over here. So yeah, that's where all the weird time changes come from.
Video game music.
Yeah.
I'm a big. I love Shoji Tagaro from Atlas. He does the Persona music stuff. So good. The last boss music is a Michael Jackson song. Secretly, it's
awesome.
Unbelievable. No,
Nice.
there's some amazing. I think from a story, like strictly speaking, I think you can do so much in storytelling with music. I think that's the really big strength. By making it from a sound, you can emit so much emotion. I noticed that when I was watching some of your performance videos on YouTube, you guys were really feeding off that, right? So like you were having a lot of fun with that. So do you see yourselves, like you obviously have a lot of fun making music. Do you have more fun doing that, or do you have more fun actually performing in front of an audience?
I love performing live personally. That's it for me. The energy from the crowd and the audience, and you know, we try to tell. I know we haven't really been anywhere yet, but when we do get traveling, we really do hope people come to check out our live show because it's not just a show; it's a production. You know, we really put everything that we have into it and try to make it an experience for those who come to see us. That's
Yeah, I think back to your like original question. For me, like the writing and whatnot has to be enjoyable with the group of people, but really it's to get to the point where you can play live, and that's the most fun. Is like I always enjoy talking to people after the show that I can see who've had a ton of fun watching us, and it's contagious because when you talk to those people and they're so excited, like you feed off each other. Right on stage, you're having fun, and people want to have fun, right? They see a band that's having fun and they're having fun, and then as a band, you want to look out and see a crowd that's totally into it at the same time. So it ends up bringing the whole room energy up, and I think that's like the best part of it. But there's a lot of hours where you have to spend the writing, the rehearsing, and everything to get to that point. And that's why I think it's so important to be with the right group of people that you can get through that sort of the harder times of putting in the homework and practice and and getting to the point where then you can get up there and put on a great performance and have fun with it.
Cool. And everybody else, what do you feel like? Do you love the stage? Like, is the stage the big high for you, or is it the creative stuff?
Yeah, I would say for sure, stage over everything. There's been times I've had to kick myself in the butt because everything else feels like a chore or a job, and I just want to do the stage stuff. But as we all know, you need to do the other parts in order to get to the top of the cake, so to say. And so, yeah, like writing is important, recording is important, and yeah, like it's good to have it with a good group of people because. Not that my other bands were terrible or anything, but if there's any sort of like, when you don't know each other as well, like we've been together for so long, it's kind of an awkward stage show sometimes. And I really love this band because I don't feel awkward on stage. And so the performance is better and then the writing is better and everything else is good when you got the combination there.
You have to start with the creativity. You have to start with writing the music. And I do enjoy that part. But yeah, the end goal is getting up on stage and making sure that you have good music to perform the shit out of it for everybody, and everybody would love it as much as you love it to play for them, right? And then that's that energy feed between you and the audience.
I remember one of my I went to an Amon Amarth show. I'll never forget. So the thing I remember the most, although it's going to sound painful, you know, in the mosh pit, obviously, you know what can happen there. Anything and everything can happen. Well, people go up. One time I feel like this wheel-like thing hits me in the head, and I look up, and I'm looking, right, and it's like, what the heck hit me in the head? There's a dude in a wheelchair crowd surfing all the way to the front. It was
That happened at one of our festivals in BC too. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's so weird when you're on the bottom of it and you don't see it coming. It's like one of those like, ow, what the? Look up. Oh, shit, that's so cool. Right, because that's literally the reaction. Like the pain goes away because it's just the sheer surprise, joy, and wonder. I like the thing I love about like metal, like shows in particular, is anything like from an artistic standpoint. The show the band puts on can be anything they imagine it to be. That's one thing that's really cool. But the second thing that's really cool is the crowd's reaction to it, and that interplay is unique to any other genre of music I've ever seen. I go to a pop concert. If I jump around like I do in a metal show, they think I'm too rough, right? So it's just like,
we went to a hip hop show last night and had bangs the whole time.
Oh yeah.
yeah, exactly. No, just because I went to at the college at the University of Calgary. I went to a Lights concert. I jumped up and down a little bit. It's like a person half my age is going to me, "Hey, you're too rough." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Like, get it, dude. Now's your time to learn. Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where sometimes the crowd energy can be really fun and just hilarious. Like we experiment with some things that we think might help people have fun. And I remember playing one show and we threw a bunch of pirate swords out while people were moshing around, and the pit turned into this giant sword fight. And then all of a sudden our merch table got wiped out. It was like complete mayhem. But it was absolutely hilarious. And people running around with eye patches and swords. Like,
I was going to say, there are a couple of things that we do now that we've found that people like. That is one of them. So we do, if we have them throw out some either inflatable or foam swords, get sword fight mosh pits, and they're awesome. But what we tried with our album release at Loud as Hell Festival this year was Paul made us a plank.
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
So for off the plank, what we did was we had it off the stage across to the barricade, and then we had a buddy come up and we did a little skit with him, and we made him walk the plank during the song Walk the Plank, and then he turned around and fell into the crowd, and they just took him all the way to the back. It was just the coolest thing. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's the thing. I was thinking about that. Walking the plank sounds like an awesome metal thing to do, but how do you do that safely? Is the only thing. Is the only concern I have. But because like.
Well, and then the other one, our local release in Calgary, which was an all ages show. The stage was a little bit lower, which was kind of nice. So we just popped the plank on a few milk crates, and we love bringing kids up on stage with us. So we had the kids come up, and we had the kids walk the plank there too, and it was just a blast. And we had a couple of people, walking them down, and so it was very safe. It was fun.
Well, that's the thing. Like, here's the thing. There's not like if you tell someone go buy my stuff, people are gonna be like, no. But if you're gonna say, hey, you want to play a game? the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, what's the game? I'm actually halfway interested already. What are we doing, right? And if it's silly enough, people will do it. Like mock sword fights, yeah, man, I want to go to your show just because I want to get in a mock sword fight.
Hell yeah, you.
No, I do. For one of my when I was doing one of my panels at a writing convention was to take Dr. Seuss books and make grown-ass adults read it in different voices. You have not lived until you've heard Fox and Socks with a Russian
Fox and
accent.
Socks, I'm gonna say, our original drummer, Brody, used to read that, and holy crap, is he ever animated. Brody from WMD, like he just, Fox and Socks is the one to do those voices.
No. I've seen Cat in a Hat, and someone actually did an operatic edition of lines of Cat in a Hat. Again, you get people permission to play, you got them. Like you got them. Like that's just the way it is. It's human nature. I mean, if you make it fun, people will respond to it. That's just the way it is. It's the best. It's our best quality. It's actually what unites all of us. Is there's not a soul alive that doesn't want to play. And if anyone listening to this says otherwise, you're a lying sack of shit. Right? So.
I think that goes back to your question about like, what does it mean to make it, or do you want to get big? There was some along the lines that, I mean, as long as we're having fun, I feel like that's the point, right? And if that means, having fun with more people, I'm totally up for that. Like, and if that means we can have fun and go see some new places that we haven't been and travel around while we're playing music and enjoying it, that'd be awesome too. Like, but that's kind of what it's about for me.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. The only I kind of look at it like this. Like again, me personally making my creative profession, just me going this, and that's how I learned this. You map out. You try not to make it an impossibility, like anything impossible. Like you have to be open to the possibility of whatever it is you want. And I think you should have I always think everybody should have like a bigger, like one of those pipe dream goals. And then because they're really cool when you hit them. Sometimes you hit them like that, and you're like, "What the like? Holy crap, that's cool!" Sometimes you have to really work for them, right? As well, right? It goes like, but you need them because those bigger things push you into great places. But you can't control where you go. Like you don't have that control of how like the success, financial the success, how big your album sells. You don't have as a ton of control over that. But if you have some big goals, and you can have fun the whole way. You may not hit those goals, but you'll hit something, and it will be cool no matter what that looks like. So,
turn and go the other way. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
I'm just being my own peanut gallery over here.
I think for like a big stage goal would be like Bach and Metal Fest, like big crowd, big stage, like huge festival,
Hellfest.
Yeah, Hellfest.
Yeah, no, dude. Why? Like, yeah. I mean, that's just it. Like, have those goals. Like, just have them, even if they're just in the back of your head. And then, but what you're saying makes total sense. Have fun. Like, enjoy the process. Like, dude, like your show sounds wicked fun. The only thing this is a dumb stage question here. This is a dumb stage question. Do you have like a pirate ship-esque like stage, like with like a ship name? Because that would be awesome.
We thought about it.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
I walked into Home Depot one day after Halloween, and I was like, "There's a fucking ship on sale. We need to get it." We can't really call
transport this.
But yeah, it comes down to logistics with touring as well, like how much you can bring with you successfully on a plane or in a vehicle, right? So we would love to do more if we could, but we're limited by things like that.
No, I'm just saying because like it sounds like you guys are trying to create as much of that pirate experience as possible. Like you're walking people to the plank, right? You're like you're bringing swords so people can play with. The next thing you gotta do, like again, it's about safety too. It's like if you can do like a fun little like a raid, that would be just awesome. I just had this like
I
really
just want to
stupid.
buy a pirate ship and tour the ship and have people come party on our ship for our show.
There you go.
Hey,
Like that might
that sounds awesome. That sounds like legitimately awesome. Like you can bring a ship. If be like a
It's
rock and roll.
here. I just can't get it out there.
Yeah.
No. You never know. Like one of those things, I do truly believe this. You do put you have these specific ideas of what you want. You put it out there. Sometimes it comes true. Sometimes it really does. So if you do get a pirate ship in like the next 3 years, and whatever you guys decide to call it, well, then maybe this conversation, you guys can blame me if we're bringing the conversation. It's like, yeah, no, that's really cool. So beyond all that, I think we do already have a wonderful conversation already. What do you have any more local shows left in the year that you guys are still doing, or are you guys done?
Yeah, we have a couple in BC. So we're playing Penticton October 14th, and then we're playing Kelowna October 15th. And then we have a little festival in Canmore on November 12th. And then we're in the works, hopefully, for our Edmonton release to be announced. I know we had up that we were going to play the 9th. Unfortunately, that didn't come through. We also realized that it was Thanksgiving weekend, so likely not the best time to play a show. So we're just in the midst of rebooking that date before we announce it. And then we're going to just kind of take a couple of months in the new year to just kind of relax, take a break, do some writing before we get back into it full tilt again in the spring.
That totally makes sense. So I guess your next show then is the BC shows then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll probably see if we can maybe do something in December for Calgary. But apart from that, we just have those three, and the one in the works currently happening.
Okay. So you're at the end. So next year you get. So I guess the last question then is, since we talked about performance and we talked about everything else, are you looking forward to an actual full year of touring for the first time in like 3 years?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Yep.
We've got, bands that we want to tour with in Ontario and bands that we want to play with in Quebec and Winnipeg. There's sky's the limit for us really, but we only have so much time to do it in as well. We also all have full-time jobs that, we have to work and have limited availability for time off, but we're just going to make the most of what we have and take it as far as we can.
That's all you can do. All right. I think we have an interview here, guys. What do you think?
I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, so let's do an official plug here. So your album is Heads or Tails. So what do you want to tell the audience about it? Where can we find it? And where can people find you?
So people can find us at Syryn Official on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We've got our album is streaming on all of the main streaming platforms, so Spotify, iTunes, YouTube Music, Deezer, all of that and whatnot. We've got some physical flash drives currently of the album. They're actually pretty cool. They're custom. We're in the works of getting the physical CDs printed. We've got, merch and everything. So if anyone wants to reach us, they can reach out through our socials or at syrynofficial@gmail.com. And, we're happy to talk to anybody. And, we ship our merchandise too if anybody wants one. And we ship international. So just reach out and even just say hey and let us know what you think of the album.
Okay, so for your Instagram stuff, is it Syryn Band, Syryn Official? Like, what is it?
It's Syryn Official.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to look like I'm a trained professional here. So did I get that right?
For which, sorry?
Oh, sorry, I screwed up. Like for your Instagram, basically give a place where people can actually find you. So I misspelled your band. For whatever reason, I want to put an E instead of a Y there.
No.
If it's supposed to come up on the screen, we can't see it.
Oh, okay. You can't see it?
No.
Oh, you can't? Okay, so I'll spell it. Is it SYRYN official at Instagram.com/? Okay. Trained motherfucking professional right here. That's what I am.
You got it.
All right. So on the album, so Heads or Tails is a song you recommend people listen to first then? Is the last thing I'm going to really ask about it. So that's the one you go, if that's the one you want people to hear first or to get the feel for
I mean, that's my personal favorite, but we've had mixed reviews from people on which their favorites are.
Yeah,
So I think you should just listen to them all. and then let us know what your favorite is.
Okay, so in that case, let's do it like this. So guys, their album is Heads or Tails. This is their Instagram. Go there, tell them what you like. Go get their flash drives, get their merch, go to their shows, get their swords, get all their crazy stuff. Have a wonderful time. They'll be in BC in November, so definitely, and they'll be in Canmore in October. Sorry, my bad. See, brain professional.
Okay.
BC in October. November in Canmore. I might see if I can slip out and go to that show there because I lived in Canmore for 6 months. I miss those mountains, like something fierce.
It's
Like,
beautiful.
Yeah, it's so nice. We love it.
yeah, it's like once you're there for an extended period of time, you're like, don't get me wrong, I don't hate Calgary per se. I just don't love it per se either, right? So
Gotcha.
yeah. It's not Toronto, which and I hate Toronto. So I mean, it's one of those,
You are perfect.
and all love for people who live in Toronto and love it. It's just not my cup of tea. But anyways, folks, this is Syryn. And for everyone watching, listening, I do advertising service, videos, audios, words, and pictures about your projects, your band, the bands, people themselves, brands, whatever the head may be. You can take a look there. And that will do it for this very special Sunday edition of the podcast, right? I will be back. I got a big week this week. #1 New York Times bestseller, Mercer Mayer, is coming back for more this week. So it's going to be actually do it right this time. So until then, folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having